Okay, so the recording started, so I'll go back and I'll say that again from the beginning. So this is the logon screen. From the option menu down in the left-hand corner there, the logon screen, you can change the color if you want a black background or if you want a white background or a metal background. We're going to go with a metal background. You can change the font size there too, so using the options. So when you log on, you've got two places you can go to. You can do live trading, which is your real money account, and then a paper trading account. So I'm going to use my paper trading account. You enter your password. My password is Fuzzy Bananas. Just kidding. All of a sudden I see funky trades in there. What? Naked call.
You said it was bananas?
Fuzzy Bananas. Just kidding.
Fuzzy bananas.
Yeah. So when you come in, you can set up some defaults, and once you I forget what defaults I've set. I'm not sure. You know, you can do your own. Everybody can set defaults differently, and I've kind of customized mine. I'll start up in this left-hand corner first. It's just some basic account information. You know, the current time and date, status. It tells you which account. You can have multiple accounts. So if you have an IRA account or margin account or a joint account, so you can name them and you can have all the different accounts you want. So you can just trade by clicking through the account that you want. Your option buying power is in here. Now you do have the ability to hit this privacy when you click that number. So if you were wanting to use your real account and say you wanted to coach to, you know, maybe you had one of those live coaching sessions that we have with the advanced option animal program, and you wanted to share your screen, you know, you can, if you want to hide that, you know, so it hides all the key numbers if you wanted to, or maybe at work you wanted to do that. So you can initiate the privacy if you want to do that. So it's a good little feature to have. The next box down is this little, well, right now it says quick charts, but if you click here where it says gadgets, you can make it anything you want. And you want to make it Tetris, you can do your Tetris, you can do Minesweeper, you can do all kinds of games. You can have a scratch pad. Jeff is a cool coach. So, like if you want to take notes or whatever, you could do that. I use the calculator a lot. There's a calculator in here, so you know when I'm trying to do math, you know, 6 times 6, you know, whatever. So you can do math. Another thing you can have would be quick chart. So, like if you wanted to keep a day chart of something here, so you can customize that and make it whatever you want. And you can actually drag and these hashed areas that you see here, the hashed areas that you see, and you can tell because the mouse changes to an up and down arrow, you can drag and make those bigger if you want. So if I go bigger, it's going to give me some of the studies that I have. If it's not big enough to get the study, it'll take them off. And so you can customize this chart, and I'll go into overcharting later, but you can set this chart up to be a minute chart or a 5-minute chart, 10-minute chart, day chart, or whatever you want. And so you can have that set there. I change what I have there. I don't use it a lot. I don't know what so the market view. Okay, so this market view basically lets you have multiple watch lists. So you can set up your watch lists over on the Market Watch tab. So you can have different. So I'm going over to the Market Watch tab, and you can have different watch lists that you set up, and you can name them. Any place you see like one of these cogs, it allows you to customize things. And so I can create, edit as many watch lists as I want. And so I'm on my paper trading account, so this one has different watch lists than I normally use on my regular account. But I have 3. I have one called Default, I have one called Industry ETFs, and one called Today. So I was demonstrating to somebody and showed them how I set those up. So those are my personal. You can go to some of these ones that they already have preset. So like if you want to look at all Amex stocks, all FX or American style indices, so you can click and go through those preset ones if you want. Also got some screeners in here. So if you want to look at the top 10 of the NASDAQ or the NYSE, so they have some preset ones too that you can add in here. Group by industry. So if you want to look at just let's see. Let's see, transportation. I was trying to find airlines on here. I don't see airlines. Where would airlines be?
Transportation.
I would think so.
You
Transportation.
should be able to go subset.
Sorry, I know it moves real fast. It's real sensitive.
There you go. Go over to the right and down. Transport by air. Keep going. Down, down, down.
Oh, there we
you
go.
See?
So, that wasn't it, was it? Yeah, there it is. So there's all the different airlines. So you can preset watch lists if you want them. You can also create new watch lists if you want. So you can create a new watch list and you give it a name and new list. And then you just add on, not goof, Google, I don't know, whatever you want to add on there. So you can add on your watch list. Now, you can customize these tabs. So where you see these dots, usually if you click on the dot, it allows you to customize. So the gear kind of lets you set up. I don't know how to describe the difference between a gear. There's three symbols that give you options. There's the gear, this little cog, there's this dot, and then there's also a wrench. You'll see on some other places. So I'm trying to go over the conventions. And so some places you see a wrench and it lets you customize. So if I click on this dot, it's going to let me customize. And so I can add fields here. So here's all the current set is right here. So if there's something I don't want, if I want to get rid of the bin and the ask, I can click remove. I can get rid of the bin and the ask. And then over here are all the ones that I can add. So there's just all kinds of, like if I want the description so that I'm not sure what the actual stock is, I can add description. So that will give me the name of the stock. Now, you click it, it automatically puts it in the bottom. You push the move up button to move it over to where you want. I hit OK. So there's going to be the description here. Now, you can just click the columns and drag the columns and make them bigger or smaller as you want. So you can do that. One of the cool features I like to add, as you scroll through, you hit these arrows over here, it'll scroll through your watch list. So here's the new list that I just created. You see the three stocks there. So I'm still really talking about here, but also telling you how to create your own watch lists. And so I can just use this to scroll through, and they have two. So you can have two watch lists up at one time. So I usually keep like my indicators up, one that gives like the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, the Russell, the VIX, the Qs, and what's that, oil. And so anyway, I keep those up all the time. And then down here, I do my second, usually my watch list. Most people have a hot watch list and a maybe the ones they're actively trading, and then kind of the ones they're watching. So it allows you to be flexible and have as many watch lists as you want. Now I can click on this dot and customize this list, which is going to be different than this here. So you see I got a lot more real estate over here. I've got one, I can add on multiple columns, almost as many as I want. Over here you add on too much and it gets too busy. So what I have, I don't put the bid ask on here, although that's important. For here, what I like to see is the last price. So that's the last trade, the percent change, and the net change in dollar amount, and then I keep the sizzle. So I can click on any one of these, and it'll sort low to high or high to low. So I'll oftentimes, do this one. Come over and click on the percent change to see who of my stocks are making the biggest moves. And so you can click on the net change, which shows you the actual dollar amount, but the percent gives you a better indication of who's really moving and who's not. The other one that's on here is something called, let's see, what's sizzle? I'm going to get to the sizzle. That's the cool one. So Lynn says change from open to close. I don't know if that's on there. Customize. Well, yeah, net change. Well, that's you want close to current. Probably the. I don't know if that's on there. Um, VWAP, which was one thing they were pretty excited about when they put it on, was just volume weighted average price. And what that does is it weights the amount of shares that were traded times the price within that period, and gives you a volume average weighted. Some people were really excited about that. Um, I don't know why. If you might be interested, probably Chicken Little will tell us why that's important. So well, the next thing I guess I wanted to go over is the sizzle. So over here I have the sizzle, and the sizzle is really cool. Where am I not updating? There we go. Sizzle is a really cool feature. Right now we're after hours, so the numbers are a little bit goofy, but the sizzle gives you the an idea of how much option volume trading there was. The sizzle does some sort of proprietary calculation, but one indicates normal option volume. So if you see a sizzle of 1, that means normal option volume. If you see a sizzle of like 6 or 7 or 8 or 10, that means that there's roughly like that much times normal trading volume on options. So it gives you an indication. It's a lot like the Nigerian heat seeker. The heat seeker, the Nigerians believe that there's insider trading going on, and I think they're true too, because you'll see it. I mean, I'm sure you've all seen it. When you look at a stock that makes a big move like a day before, you see some strange option volume or some buying or selling of the stock, and you see something happening before an event, and it's pretty clear that, or sometimes you see it even before not even a fixed event. There's some announcement that comes out, and the day before there's big option trading done the day before. There was no announcement until the next day, so there's some insider trading. Anyways, that's the concept that they use. You can add that over here. Let me go to one of my larger lists and see if I can find one that's something that's interesting. Customize, and what I'm going to do is add on. So you've got a couple different things that are cool to add on here too. I'll point out. One is the put-call ratio. So you can add the put-call ratio on here. We talk about the put-call ratio as being an important indicator of sentiment. So you've got the put-call ratio that you can add on right there for that particular equity. You don't have to go through and calculate it. You can actually get the daily put-call ratio. You can add the sizzle index on. You can also add on the call sizzle index and the put sizzle index. So that might give you, so you get sizzle, right? You get some sizzle, right? That means high option volume going on, but you don't know if it's on the call side or the put side. Well, you can, by looking at these different indicators, you can get a feel for where it's coming from. Actually, I put too much on there, so I'm going to delete some other stuff. Customize. I'm going to get rid of the bid, ask, get rid of the 52-week high and low. Okay. And so I'll make some of these other rows smaller. I'm not exactly, there we go. Okay, so put call ratio, well, I think, so, well, this is interesting. Look at General Mills, very high put to call ratio. We're after hours, so I think some of these numbers are kind of messed up. Right now, I'm not seeing anything terribly exciting on the sizzle. No, I've never seen a chart of the sizzle. What you can do, though, is you can go, let's say that you found one of these that had a high sizzle. You can go and, so the next thing I'm going to do is, I want to show you something that's pretty cool here. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you, I'm still working on the right-hand side. I'm getting a little excited, getting carried away here. But one of the things I like to do, in the right-hand corner, you should see something that looks like, well, it looks like that. You're going to see red, yellow, and blue, this little red square thing. What is that? That's the link, okay? So if you click on it, just using the left click, you click on it and pick one of these colors, whichever one you happen to like the best. And I haven't figured out a reason why you'd use multiple. I only use one. So if I click one, and then, so what that means is whenever I click this, wherever else I've set up a one, it'll input it. So what does that mean? Let me show you. So, okay, so when you come to the trade tab, this is where you go to get an option chain or a quote. So it should look like that. It's going to have the red, yellow, and blue square. You click on it. You do this once. You never have to do it again. When I come over and click on any one of these, it's automatically going to populate it right there. Garmin, Potash, Google. So I don't have to type it in. Same thing with charts. So when you come to charts, it's going to have this unlink button. You come over here, you set it, you do it once. I mean, there's ways for you to set this up. I mean, you can, I don't know why you do browns and, do these other colors. You can pick any other color. I don't know, maybe you prefer a color, or maybe, I can't understand why you'd have different ones set up. What?
It's for multiple monitors. If you have 4, 5, 6, 7 monitors,
okay.
That's why.
Okay. I have 3 at home, but I still don't use it.
I don't either. Either, but that's what it's for.
So the big chicken likes blue, so he can pick blue. But the nice thing about this is really cool is you click on, okay, I care about dries. Boom. Dries is in my charts. I come over to my trade tab. It's in my trade tab. I come to my analyze tab. It's in my analyze tab. I don't have to type it in again. And when if I just come over here, in fact, if I can change it over here too. If I go in and type in Goog right here, then I go to trade tab, Goog's there. Go over to my chart tab, Goog's there. So whatever the last one is that I put in, you don't always have to do it over here. It's the last one that you selected, as long as you've got them all synchronized. And so I recommend you go to the trade tab and you do the drop down and link it with, well, I use red because it's the first one, but pick whatever color you want. And go to the charts tab, the analyze tab, and those are the 3 ones where you need to go and do it. Sorry about that. I'm moving my mouse around too fast.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Oh, so, yeah, Dugan's saying that maybe you could set them up for different time frames. So maybe you have one of those indicators for, maybe a minute chart. Maybe you have one set up for an hourly chart or a daily chart, and so you'd have a different color. Maybe that's an application you'd use it for. I don't use it that way. I do have a different way to approach that, and I'll talk about that when I get to the chart tab. So just looking over here on the left, so just go back over there's the account area. So just some basics on what's in your account. You've got this area here, this quick chart area where you can change to any gadget you want. You can add different things in here, live news or scratch pad or calculator, whatever you want. So you can customize that to whatever you want. And then over here in the market view, you've got 2 different watch lists that you can have. So I usually keep one up that gives me an indication of the the indices that I care a lot about. Now, you can't put too many on there, so you only got so much real estate that you can work with, and that's why I go with a smaller font, because I can get more on here. So there's that. Now, if you want to maximize this area, and I'm going to do this for the rest of the presentation, when you see these little arrows, they indicate the ability to turn things down. So pressing down is maximized. Facing to the right is minimized. If you minimize this one, it'll minimize the whole area. So they were right there, that one right there, takes away that whole account info area. So that gives me more real estate to work with over here. I know some people like to do that. I usually leave this open when I'm working all the time, but for the rest of the presentation, I'm going to leave it like that just so that we have more real estate. So let's see. So the first, let's see what do you got here? Okay. So the first tab is the monitor tab, and this is where you can see what positions you have. So right now, the only position, I have a Google position. The only position that I have is looks like a ratio back spread, a call ratio spread, 15 and 20 shares. Not exactly sure why I put that on. It was a demo, and I'm losing money on it. So I probably need to either adjust or get out of that trade. So I've got, let's say if I want to close that position right now, Now there's two different kinds of clicks. Remember, you got a left click, which is your normal click, and a right click, which is kind of the alternate click. If I right click on that symbol and say create closing order, it's going to give me several different options. There's an algorithm that goes through in here and tries to determine what kind of trade is this, and it's going to try and figure out how to, which one of these trades it is. And so you can either, these are just by the different positions that I have, or this one tells me that it's 3 to 4 back ratio spread. And if I just click on it, it's automatically going to populate an order down here. Okay. Now it took me to the trade tab. So I went from the monitor tab to the trade tab. And if I want to, well, I guess this is a good time to talk about orders. So if I want to go ahead and exit, if this is the trade that I wanted to enter, this closes my entire position. You need to double check it, because it does. If you have an odd position, it might not pick. Your entire position. So you need to double check it. But that is my position. It's 15 and 20 at the 400, 410. And so if I want to go for that, I just hit confirm and send. Now, I would get a credit for that. If I want to change the price, I can just come in here and type in a different number. Let's say I want to try and get $14.90. I want to be cheap. I want an extra nickel. So I can type that in there. Or I can use these arrows to click up and down. Now, if you notice down below there, you see that blue line moving. And so what this is giving you an idea of where the mid price is. And they generally recommend the mid price is the price between the bid and the ask. And they generally recommend starting at the mid. What's interesting, if you look at different brokers, when you do the automatic close orders, some pick if you're trying to sell something, they'll pick the bid price. If you're trying to buy something, they pick the ask price. Other ones will pick a middle. So some people get all hung up on this, and I've lost dollars chasing pennies here before by trying to be greedy. But it's good, just to place the order and see if you get filled. Wait a minute or so at the mid, and if you don't, maybe you need to move it a little bit. So I can change that number a couple different ways. So if I wanted to try and, if there would be right at using the bid and the ask spread. So I'm going at whatever the market maker's telling me is right now. So I can change that to bid ask. I don't know if anybody's asking questions on this.
You just keep going, Eric. I'm taking care of those.
Oh, great. Okay. Thanks. Now, one of the things you might have noticed when I changed the number over here, this little doohickey here changed to a red lock. And so that means I entered a price in. I see that little red lock. I can click that, and now it's green. During the market, that's going to float. It's going to change. If it's green, it's going to be floating with the market price. It's going to be floating at the mid. So that number will be changing every time I switch between the red. I can lock it in and say that's where I want it. I definitely want it 1485. Or as soon as I change it, it's going to lock it in. But if I want to click that to green, it'll automatically go to the market price. So I can change the type of orders that I have. I'm not going to go through with a market limit, stop limit, trailing stop, or a trail stop limit order. I'm not going to go through those. I normally use just limit orders. You can. Sometimes I use a market order when I need to get out real quick, but you can do your due diligence or go research and figure out what those different types of orders are. There is one other thing that I think is really important, and you'll hear me talk about this in my class, and that is, I never saw this. This is interesting. It gives a textual display of what the order is. Well, that's interesting. I don't know if that's new. I've never noticed it before. But the thing that I come here for, the only thing that I ever use over here is up in this corner. And you see time enforced, and that's a GTC. And when I enter a trade, if it has a primary exit that is to sell at a X% gain, I calculate what that percentage is, and I come over to here and I enter it. So if I enter the trade and whatever it is, a calendar trade, a bear call, or bull call, or whatever the trade is, and it's my primary exit is like a 20-25% ROI. I will calculate what that is, and I will enter that number over here. I will put it as a good till GTC, good till closed order. That's what that stands for. And just leave it in there. And I think Jeff does them too, because I know I've been talking to Jeff on the phone, and in the background you hear bling. It's what? Oh, I guess I sold something. And it's a nice sound to hear. This makes a pretty an interesting sound, which, by the way, is the same default sound that we have on the Option Animal chat page. If you don't turn the sounds off whenever somebody enters a new message, it makes the same exact sound as a sell order or an order being filled on on Thinkorswim. It was freaking me out the first time I heard it, because when you don't expect to hear that sound and you hear it, it kind of gets the hair on the back of your neck standing up. But actually, if I have a primary exit and I know that I've got several trades open and I can hit a primary exit, I love using this feature. So all brokers have them. You just need to figure out how to use it. So normally a day order will be canceled at the end of the day. If you have an order in the queue, you'll see at the end of the day some message pop up and says, hey, your order's been canceled. If you have a GTC order, it'll stay open forever. So that's how you do a GTC order. Now I can keep this order in here. This little double arrow over here lets me minimize that. And if I want to come back to, go around and say, well, I want to go back and look at a chart. I want to look at, some other quote. And then I can come back and open that up again. When I'm sure that I want to do it, and then I can delete it here if I want to delete it. I can hit confirm and send. I guess one of the other things I should talk about is the advanced orders. If you wanted to do advanced orders, this would be, you've got blast all, so it sends all to the market all at once. You've got one cancels other, first triggers, one cancels other. I'm not sure. I guess you could use these. I tend not to use them. Maybe some people use them. But the features are there. I don't use them, but if you need to get into that, I would suggest calling the help desk, call the Thinkorswim help desk, and ask them how to do it. So I'm just showing you all the features that are here. So when I want to do it, I hit confirm and send. It comes up and asks me, are you sure this is what you want to do? And it tells me some information here. So here's the current price. This is my max profit on this trade. I'm closing a position, so it's not going to be the max profit. Tells me the cost, including my commissions, buying power effect on, so it's going to impact my ability to buy, and gives me some information. If I'm okay with it, I hit send. And then if I go back over to the monitor tab and click on the working orders button, that order that I just placed is right in there. So if I need to, like say, oh crap, I didn't want to do 1485, I want to do 1490. Why don't you guys remind me? So I say cancel replace order, and then I come over here and I can change the number, 1490, confirm and send. Okay, so that's going to cancel the first order. So here's the first order that I canceled, remember 1485, and here's the next order that I placed at 1490. And so that's still working, it's open. So that's how you can see what orders you have in place right now. Nice little indicator that you'll see is that you've got a sell. A little sell sign indicates that you've got an order on those positions. So if you have multiple positions on here, you can tell you've got orders in place when you have your multiple positions there. So that's the monitor position. The account statement one gives you, if you want to start looking at like ROI over the course of time. So if you wanted to go look at cash balance, working orders, trade history, options. So if I can change the date range on this. So if I want to go back a week, if I want to go back 30 days, I can, or if I want to go back some other period of time, maybe I want to type in 60 days. You can either do the drop-down menu, or you can type in here, and it'll give you. So here's all the orders that I've done in the past 60 days in this account. Here's so there's the working orders. Some were canceled, as you can tell, and here's the ones that were filled. Excuse me for a second. I'm going to clear my throat. All right, so there's all those features. One of the other ones that's pretty cool is the profit and loss. So if you want to go back and look at your profit and loss on different positions, this is, I don't know how far back this goes because the date range doesn't change these. So you can go through and look here and see your P&L. There's also a Forex if you want to trade Forex, I'm not going to talk about that here, but you do have the ability to do foreign exchange currency pairs if you wanted to trade those. And there's the account summary, which is really just the same thing that's right up in here, and the account info tab. You can, if you want to do profit and loss, you can type in just by a particular symbol. Let's see. Oh, geez, Google. Where am I? Why am I not seeing what I want to see? One of the things that's difficult with Thinkorswim and is that it's difficult to look at the profit of an individual trade. They've tried to change the way that you look at positions. So back to this monitor tab, you have the ability to arrange by different types of trades or different spreads. And I provided some of this feedback to them and said, hey, sometimes I have a calendar trade and then maybe an iron condor or something on the same equity, and I want to group it. I want to group those a certain way, and so they do have a way to go through and group these by spreads. Now they put the feature in there, but I don't use it. But you do have ways to group these individually. One of the things that I was saying is a challenge is that it doesn't always keep track of trades the way that we think of them at Option Animal. And when you do a collar trade or a calendar trade, you're continually lowering your cost basis by shorting front months against a longer out position, and it doesn't do a great job of keeping track of those. So that's one of the points where I think it falls down, and I keep track on an individual trade, and I do look at the overall P&L of my account and overall P&L by position, but it doesn't do a great job. If you want to say I want to look at my P&L on Google, looking only at my iron condor trades over the past 2 months, it doesn't do a great job of doing that for you. But here's that position position page. The next one that I want to go to is the trade tab. Now I did mention Forex, so you can take a look at if you want to do option currency pairs, you can do that. You just need to request to have an account and have it funded. And so I messed around with it, but I'm not a currency. I don't want to get into that. I got enough to do with equities and options. You can look at futures. They also have this active trader feature here, which allows you to place orders. I can't even begin to describe it, but I think it's intended more for day traders. So I don't use the active trader tab. I know a lot of people love it. So anyway, so in this tab, what do you see? You enter the symbol. It's a neat feature too, is that once you start to type things, you'll see that it starts giving you some lists of what you might be looking for. If you're not sure what the symbol is, like Cisco, you just type in the name Cisco. It's CSCO, so it's going to find it for you. They also have futures. The futures are on there. ES is the S&P 500 mini futures, which trades 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or 5 days a week. So it's actively trading now. There's gold and there's gasoline and all different other sorts of ones that are in there too. We're not going to worry too much about that for now. So here's your option chains. So you click the little down arrow, it's going to open the option chain. You see this little thing in the middle that says strikes. You can change that if I want a little more, want to see more on there. You can add those. I'm going to close down my position there. Well, that's interesting. Is this new? I don't think I remember seeing this before. So show me that I have a position. I don't remember seeing this before. I don't know if that's in the new release or not. That's interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, it's just by. Let's see something here. Man, they have so many features on here. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. That's really cool down there because I never noticed that before. Because I have an open position, it's going to pop up and let me know that I have an open position down there. I don't know if that's new in this release. I don't remember seeing that before. Well, that's pretty cool. Interesting. It'll also show me my positions here. I mean, I can see position, and then it says sell. I've got sell orders open too. So that little indicator tells me that this one is I'm short, that one I'm long, and I've got sell orders on both of those, which doesn't look right. I shouldn't be selling something that I'm shorting. I should be buying it back. Maybe I need to go back and look at that. So I can open up a bunch of these. If I want to go all, you just click all. It's going to give you all of the options that are available. Just scroll up and down to be able to see them. I'm going to take a sip of water. Excuse me here. Where am I back? Was I talking? You were able to hear me before, weren't you? I wasn't on mute all that time. You would have told me, Jeff, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, he's drinking Maker's Mark.
No, I'm not. Sorry about that, but I can't find. I don't have that. I have the new update, and I don't have this position on the bottom of my trade tab.
That's weird. Do you have a?
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, maybe it's because I have it. Let me cancel the order. Cancel order. Yeah, it's still there.
That's weird.
Yeah. There's this trade grid thing that'll give you, if you're looking at market depth and looking at the orders, you can actually see the different orders going through and what exchange they're going on, what the bid ask was, the size. I don't use that so much, but they call that level 2, I guess. I don't use the level 2 so much. I think it's more of a day trader thing. So you can. This thing is lightning fast too, with popping up these chains. I don't know if you remember the old Options Express. Oh, close that down. Huh? That's weird. That's weird. Okay. Options Express. That may take forever to load a chain up. Drive me nuts. I mean, look at all these option position. Options you have and the quotes that are in there, and it's lightning fast. I love it. So I'm going to close down just a few just to give us a little more real estate. So to click an order, to fill an order, all you need to do is just come over here and click on either the bid or the ask. If you want to buy or sell, it's going to automatically, if you just click on one, it's going to create the order. So that just clicked a buy. I clicked on what did I click on? The July 410 put. And if I want to sell the 420 put, I click there. This is something's different than what I normally do. I don't know what to say about that. That's okay. That's different than I normally do it. I don't know how that happened and what I did to get there. But let me show you. I normally enter my orders from the Analyze tab. So let's just go over to the Analyze tab. So here's the same sort of layout, the same sort of grid that you got on the Analyze tab. So I can pick the number of spreads positions that I want to see. I click here, and you'll see down below here I have positions already. I already have these positions, and so in the green it's going to give me, so green is I'm buying, red is I'm selling. So I can click through as many of these as I want, and it's going to add them all in. So these are single orders that I just put in here. So there's buying a put, selling a put, buying a call, selling a call, and I can adjust the prices here as I want, and I can place the orders directly from here. Now I can click these X's to close them. Now here's one of the cool things too. If I wanted to do a complex trade, or even not a complex trade. I want to do a calendar. Let's say I want to do a calendar. I want to do a put calendar. I'm going to buy the 420 and sell the 420. I'm going to buy the December 420 put. I click on it, and then I hold down the control key and hit the short side of the 420. And so you see down here, that just changed to a calendar. So there's my calendar spread. It's a $23 debit, and I have a calendar. If I want to do a vertical, let's say I wanted to do a bull put. So that is long the 410, short the 420, and they call them verticals. So that's a vertical bull put. It's a credit spread. I bring in 380, and the order's right there. If I want to confirm and send it, I just right-click on that order, confirm and send, and it's going to place the order for me. So it's telling me max profit on that is 380, max loss is 620. It's a credit spread, right? So I'm going to keep my 380. That's the most I could possibly make. It's a $10 spread. The most I'm going to risk is 620 because it's $10 minus the 380, or 1,000 minus the 380, if you will. And so the math works out. It tells me that my impact. I can hit here, click and send, and it's going to go. It'll be sent as an order. If I wanted to do a little more complex, like some of you know that I like to trade iron condors. So that's a long that, short that, long that. And you see I just entered an iron condor. So it gave me right there, set up an iron condor for me. That's a bull put and a bear call all put together. Now, you can also place orders if you know what you want to do, and say you want to do a vertical. Well, you can enter vertical there. So that's going to give you a vertical. Now, they're going to go one strike wide. If you want to go wider, you can actually customize that and change that. If you want to do back ratios, or you want to do calendars, so here's the July-August calendar, the August-September calendar. If you want to do covered stock or the covered call, their twist on the collar is a little different than ours. Condors, butterflies, Google. I love the Google butterfly. So the Google butterfly you can catch right in here. And I do use this. About the only time that I use this feature here is on the Google butterfly when I'm trying to do the butterflies. Otherwise, I'm usually looking at the single option. So if you know there's a specific trade you want to go with. Now, the iron condor, it's too narrow for me. I wouldn't use that. But let's see, what was I going to show? You can do double diagonals, so double calendar, the calendar triangle swap, the double. And because I want to be more flexible in the options that I pick, I don't bother using those. But let's say that you knew that you wanted to do either a vertical. If you did want to do look at a calendar here, and you wanted to either a calendar or a vertical. So that's a horizontal or a vertical. Now this feature can be neat. So if you want to look at the same month, 1 month, but I want to do 4 strikes wide. So you can come over here and go deep and wide. So I'm going to go 1 month, 4 strikes wide verticals. So that's going to be 4 strike wide verticals, if that's what I want. Or let's say that I want to go 4 months, 1 strike. So I want to look at calendars. And so that's going to set up the months that'll give me 4 months and 1 strike. So if you did want to use that feature, you could. I tend not to. I tend to stick with the singles because I can open up the chains that I want here and say, well, do I want to go with this one or this one? And so you hold down how you do the complex orders again. You click on the first one and then hold down the control key. That's the key on the bottom left-hand corner that says CTRL. And then you click on the other option that you want to do. So diagonal. There you go. So you want to do a condor. So here's a condor. I'm going to show you there. That's a condor as opposed to an iron condor. So it automatically goes through and knows what the trade is. Now you can do custom ones too. You can chain them. Like if you wanted to change this to something else, it might tell you can't take something off. Sometimes it gets a little weird. So it's like if you want to do 2 or 3 contracts, you can click up and down here. But if you said, well, I didn't want this short, but I want that short, then you could just say custom, and you can come and say, well, I want to do 10 shorts there, and I want to do 6 here, or whatever you want to do. You can get custom if you want. And then you see it doesn't give me the option to go back to a condor here anymore. But if you want to do some weird trade, you can do all kinds of things. And then the benefit of that is it all gets ordered together. You don't have to worry about legging in. I'll tell you one of the things that's a challenge on this one is a collar trade. And you can't buy into a collar trade. But generally, I don't know that we buy into collar trades too much. What happens is we get assigned a short put, then we have the stock, and then we're gonna, we'll end up shorting a call against it, and then then buying a protected put, and you can do that proactively. But so you can't. It's difficult to enter into a collar trade if you said I want to go buy a collar trade. But Jeff, can you answer that question? Would you ever decide to go buy a collar trade, or do you end up adjusting into a collar?
Well, I can't say that I've never initiated a trade as a collar trade, but by and large, yes, as you said.
You have the stock, and then you decide I'm going to collar this stock, right?
Right. I generally don't just enter directly into a full collar trade. It's collar trade's a managed position, and it's one that I find myself in, finding yourself evolving into as opposed to starting off with. But that doesn't mean that's for everybody. I mean, some people do start off with a long-term collar trade.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess you'd have to leg into it. It's not so bad. So you could do covered stock, which is going to be a stock and then shorting a call against it. Or you can, if you want to enter those as, I'll show you how you do that. I guess I went over how to do options. You can do the same thing. So we talked about the underlying. So let's say that I wanted to do a covered call on Google. Well, I'm going to click on the ask because I want to buy it. If I click on the bid, I'm going to be shorting it. You notice that little yellow thing under my cursor says buy, sell. So hopefully you know what you're clicking on. So, and I'll also know because it's going to be green. So I clicked on the stock. It shows a green 100 shares. It defaults to 100 shares. By the way, you can set this up to default to whatever you want. You want one contract, 10 contracts, 1,000 shares. You can set it up to default to whatever number you want. So if I was going to buy 100 shares, then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to short a call and say I wanted to short the 430 call. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do, but I'm just going to pick this one. So I'm going to hold on the control key because I'm going to add it to my last position, and I'm going to click on the bid. And can't create a custom spread, bastards. Okay, so in that situation, I guess you can't do that. What I do would be covered stock, and I said 420, right? And so I click there. Now I don't know why it wouldn't let me add that, but here's the same thing. So I guess that's one situation where I'd have to do it. There's the covered call, if you will. Buying the stock and shorting call in the same move. There we go. Let's see. There's some other cool things that are on here. Let me make sure. I'm going to talk about all that. Oh, here's what I wanted to show. On the option chain. So this is the same as the trade tab. This portion of it is the same as the trade tab over here. I don't know why my trade tabs has that down below there. I'm going to have to figure out what's going on there and fix that. But this trade tab, so far everything I've showed is the same on the trade tab as it is on the analyze tab. It's important that you do recognize whether you're on the trade tab or the analyze tab, because when you're messing around on the analyze tab, you're just looking at things. On the trade tab, you can actually be executing orders. So be careful and make sure you're comfortable with that before you move into real trading. But one of the really cool features here is you have the choice on the layout. And so right now you see I have delta, gamma, theta, vega. Those are the Greeks, right? So there's the impact to the stock, the underlying moving, the acceleration basically of the delta, theta is the time decay, vega is the volatility impact. If I click there, I've got all sorts of other ones. Normally the volume and open interest is the default. And I'll toggle between these all day long and not even, I don't even think twice about it. I guess I could put them all on one, but sometimes I want to be looking at the Greeks. Sometimes I even get confused on those of you that know, I get confused on intrinsic and extrinsic value. I don't need more now that somebody explained to me that extrinsic means extra value. And Jeff's over there shaking his head right now going, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. I know. I've understood it at least for months now, Jeff. What the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic value is. But the thing I love, I'm kidding. the thing I love is you can come right here and see it real quick. And like one of the things you talk about and is the extrinsic value peaks right around this where the money is, and you can clearly see it here. I mean, look at $1, $2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and then it keeps going down as you get further out of the money. So the extrinsic value, all the fluff of the value is going to be right near the money. You can clearly see it. I don't know if you get confused on what the intrinsic and extrinsic value is. You can come on over here and calculate or take a look at it. I don't use it all that often. The two I usually use are the volume and open interest, and also delta, gamma, theta, vega. Uh-oh. It says I may be experiencing.
Hey, would you click on the customize button, Eric?
I'm gonna.
Tim's asking it to. Okay.
There we go. Okay, on the customize button. So if you want to customize this and add, say you want the OPRA symbol. Okay, you can add the OPRA symbol, and if I hit customize and I decide that you can change where is this going to be further up or down, so you can change the position. The OPRA is the actual symbol that represents that particular option, and so that's going to give me. If I hit save as and say, who was asking for it? Did you say?
Tim or Tom. Tom. He just wanted you to show everybody what's out there.
Okay. Dugan. So then I have my Dugan layout. So I have a customized Dugan layout. So if I go back over to here and I want to go back and see my Dugan layout, then I can have my Dugan layout. So if you hit customize, you can, if I wanted to put all those together, like if, let's say that I only care about the Greeks and the open interest, then I can put all that on one. So you can customize this layout for yourself. And then you can quickly change and get between them. So like I said, open volume and interest and delta, gamma, beta, the Greeks are the ones that I tend to use the most. Implied volatility, sometimes I look at that, but one of the things, I don't know if you noticed, when you pull up an option chain, let's go make this a little bit smaller. When you pull up an option chain, there's numbers in the right-hand corner. These numbers over here, those are the aggregate implied volatilities. So that's basically the implied volatility for the month. Let me, if I put the, so what they're doing is summing up all of we're taking the average to determine what the implied volatility is at that number. So I usually, when I'm looking at implied volatility, I don't come in here and necessarily look at each one of these. I just look in this right-hand corner right here. All right, so the coolest thing, what's the coolest thing on the Analyze tab? And we're about to get to it, and that is looking at the risk profile. And so the risk profile is going to give you an indication of just what it says, a risk profile. Over here on the left is going to be, you see plus numbers and minus numbers and a 0. So here's your break even, and this is up 1,000, down 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. And so there's several things that you can do in here. One of the new features they added is that you can include commissions. So if you want to factor in commissions into your profit and loss, you can do that. So that's there if you want to do it. You can change the date range. Why would you change the date range? The shaded areas, one of the things you look at the shaded areas, indicate one standard deviation from the existing stock based on the historic volatility. That's the actual volatility that's occurred in the movement of the stock over the past 30 days. And so that gives you an idea. We talk about 1 sigma or 1 standard deviation moves. You say, oh, that's a 2 sigma move, a 3 sigma move, 3 standard deviation move. That gives you an indication of how big that move is. In theory, 68% of all movement over the next 30 days should fall in this range. And we don't have to have a lessons in statistics, but that's what that means. Now you see some of these vertical lines that are in here. Those correlate over here. So I can, if I want to change this one to a specific number, I can go in and just type in a number, and that's going to move this one right here to 470 because I typed in 470. If I want to change this one to 380, now you can add lines if you want. You can add slices, and you can have them wherever you want. If you add too much and you get messed up, just look for the reset buttons. Just hit the reset parameters, reset buttons if you need to. It'll kind of bring you back to the default stuff. This is a really cool feature here. When I type in a trade, I'd say probably 75% of the time I come over here. This is the first thing I do. Set slices, break even at expiration. Again, so it's the set slices button. Go down to break even at the expiration. I practically wear this thing out. I use this button, this feature so much. And that puts a line right where my break even is. Now, I get lazy. Of course, we teach you how to calculate this and do the numbers in your head. I don't bother calculating anymore. I just come here, enter it in. This shows me very clearly. 40702 is my break even at expiration. That's the number I'm hoping to stay above. Where does that correlate to the chart? Set slices to charts. You come over here and say set slices to charts. And that puts that line right there on that chart. That's my break-even line on the charts. We're going to talk about charts here in a little bit, but I wanted to show you how the Analyze tab factors in. Let's take a look at another example, another trade. I like to do the Iron Condor. Let's pop that up in the Analyze tab. I'm going to set up an Iron Condor real quick, not really putting any thought behind it. So I just set up an Iron Condor. It's a credit trade. I'm going to take in 635. Let's see. Risk profile. There's my Iron Condor. Now my line is set to where my other one was. I can hit reset all these buttons, reset these slices if I want. It goes to some default. Actually, what I want to do is set slices, break even. Now I entered in a different month. You notice the date's different. So that's the expiration date. It's going to set the lines, and it's going to give me the probability of this thing expiring in that range. Now, 34% chance of this thing expiring in that range is pretty low. So, maybe I want to widen these up. So I can come down here and say instead of doing the 440, 450, maybe I want to do the 470, 480 on the upside and do 380, 370 there. So you see it changed. Now let's say set slices, break even. It's going to move it out there. So now I got 57% chance of that thing being more working out for me. Now I can change the scale here. I can move this up and down to get myself more real estate. I can also, if I click here, I can move to the left and to the right. I can also, if I want to compress this a little bit or expand it, I can just click down here and either compress it, and then I can move it, or if I want to, let's say that I want to make it bigger, I can make it much bigger. So if you had a really complex position, you might want to do this. So you can play very easily, just play with it and move it around. So I got a 57% chance of this thing expiring in the money. See my line showing me there? It's got to be between 376.56 and 473.42. Set slices to charts. Let's look where that is. Look at that thing right there. I mean, look at for 1.5 months, it's been in that range. Is it reasonable? I'm not advocating that particular trade, but maybe, maybe you might consider it. Let's zoom back a little bit. So, anyways, that's how the Analyze tab, which is very, very cool, works. Now let's say that you were to have a different sort of trade. Instead of doing a vertical trade, which is in the same month, let's say that you want to do a horizontal trade or a calendar trade. So let's say that I want to buy that and sell that. If I go to the risk profile, now you've got something that looks more like a tent. Excuse me, I got to clear my throat again. So it's got something that looks like a tent. I have to be honest with you and tell you that calendar trades on the Analyze tab are a little bit of a challenge, and that's because they're affected by volatility. You have different volatilities in the month, and that can change things. So where the verticals are pretty easy. I mean, where that break even is where the break even is. On a calendar trade, it can change on you based on the volatility or the difference in the volatility. One of the other things the reason I wanted to show you this is if you have multiple trades in different months, right now you see that this says +1 expiration. I can change this to 4 expirations. So it's going to show me my trade, and you see over here the different dates. So before June, as long as it stays between here and here, I'm going to make money. Or before July 18th, the green line. And after that, I'm hoping that it stays, it's going to be like, let's see, set slices, break even, August 22. So after August 22, I want it to be less than $14.22. So that's how the Analyze tab works, taking into account different time frames. Now, here's another thing that I don't use it anymore because I understand it, but I've got a grasp for this. But if you're not sure how volatility will affect your trade, there's a really cool feature that'll let you do that. So right now we're looking at time, vol step. This is a cool feature. So I'm going to add four, I'm going to add +4. This is going to give me 4 lines, each one indicating a different change in volatility. So it's going to look at it basically today. It's going to look at what it looks like today. So this is what is going to happen to my calendar trade today if volatility increases. And so if right now volatility is at 37.2%, if it were to go up, and you see it's by 5%, say I wanted to look at 4% changes. I just change it to 4%. I want to look at 2% changes, and 2%, whatever number I want to look at, or say I want to look at negative, or say minus 2% changes. So this is going to give me an indication of what volatility is going to do. So I can clearly see that an increase in volatility is going to help me on this one. Now, the one thing that it doesn't do so good is if you say, what's the impact to what if the front month volatility changes by that much, and the back volatility changes by that much? It doesn't do such a good job at doing that. But at least you can get a feel for what is volatility going to do for me here if it changes. And so you can see that an increase in volatility is actually, if this were to jump up to 45%, you're going to go up to this red line here. And you can see the dollar values over here. So it's giving you an indication. So in this particular trade, well, I guess I should have shown what Mr. Dugan's probably freaking about. Why didn't you mention that? Okay. Let's see. Reset. Okay. One thing I didn't mention too is on where the Greeks are on this, which I could clearly see the Greeks. So now I don't need to do that to understand what happens. I can look at the Greeks, and that's what's here. So this middle price here, the Greeks are complicated because they're all related to each other, and if one changes, they all have to change. And so if you've ever seen them graphed out, they're fairly complex, but you can get a feel for them if you worked with these numbers and then play with some of these different features. You might get a feel for it. But so look at the different lines. So we've got the delta, the gamma, the theta, the vega right here on each one of these. So each one of these lines. So I can decide right now these lines are set at some arbitrary amount. I don't know what it is. So maybe plus or minus 15%. That's what it, plus or minus 10%. Yeah, that's where they're set. That's the default. I can say, plus, go plus $2 and $5, plus 1 sigma, plus 2 sigma, plus 3 sigma. So I can set them wherever I want. Remember I told you this difference in shaded areas indicates 1 sigma. So here I just showed you that's what where the line ended up going is to 1 sigma there. So if I wanted to get a feel for the Greeks, I can look at, what if the thing moves to 410? I can click these lines, by the way, and just drag them and put them wherever I want. Or to 420. What's going to happen with my Greeks? And so I can see how the Greeks are going to change on each one of these. So delta negative here, delta negative kind of where it is right now. But if it goes up to, or it goes down to 420, then I'm going to be delta positive. And my theta, you can see the impacts of theta and the change in volatility. So there's how you can get an idea of what the Greeks, I'm not going to go over what the Greeks are, but you can get a feel for how the Greeks are going to change when you see a change in your underlying. Here's a cool one. Let's see. I'm going to do a vertical trade. I'm going to do a credit trade. I'm sorry, a debit trade. That's theta positive. debit trade. Right now, okay, let's see. Um, reset slices. So right now the stock is at 422.99. That's where the stock is. Look at that. That's a theta positive trade. Theta positive debit trade. Whoa! Debit trades that are theta positive? Yep. You can actually see them here. Now that's what I just did was basically an in the money bear put trade. It's a bear put. You see this? This is the classic shape of a bear put. It's also the classic shape of a bull call. And it's identical break evens too. Watch this. Set slice break even. What did I just say? Whoa, what did he say? Watch this. Are you ready? I'm going to flip this thing. Instead of making a put, I'm going to make it a call. And boom, it's the same freaking trade. Did you know that? Isn't that cool? So there's the bear call trade, or I can do the bull put trade. And they're exactly the same trade at the same strike. Isn't that neat? Mess around with it if you don't believe me. So it's an interesting approach is that I can do a debit trade here that's theta positive. So yes, it's possible. Now I'm using in the money options. That's fine. If you go back and look at my positions, I've got the 420, 440, and the 420. So I'm long the 420. It's an in the money put, and the 440 is the at the money basic, or the 420 is the at the money. So yeah, interesting. So there's the risk profile. Very, very handy, very, very powerful tool. And I think, if I listen to Tom Sosnoff say, once you really, really understand this, you don't need it anymore. You'll be able to tell everything you need from the numbers that you see in either the Greeks or your break evens. And I'll be honest with you, I've become very comfortable now that some of the trades I don't even need to come over here to look anymore. I can just tell, by the numbers where it's going to be. But it's a fun tool to have, fun feature to have. So I haven't been. I'm hoping that I haven't. Jeff, you've been answering all the questions, I assume, because I'm just going.
No, they're just mostly a lot of comments.
Okay.
You're doing fine. You're doing great.
Okay. Some other things that's in here is probability tab. I don't find this particularly helpful, but you might. This blue line is one standard deviation going out in time. And what it's showing you is that you've got a 68% chance. Maybe it gives you a feel for, I don't know. So you got a 68% chance of it being between these blue lines. So I don't know why you'd want this. I don't find any value in it, the probability analysis. The other one is the volatility analysis. So they show you the volatility. We talk about the volatility smile. I think back in the day. Back in the day that Sheldon Nattenberg's book was written, there was actually ways to take advantage of differences in volatilities, and some of the squiggles that you see here are abnormalities, and unfortunately they're not real because that just indicates nothing's traded there, but they will fit that line. If we pull up the SPY, there's like no jags whatsoever because there's so much liquidity. Well, I guess there are probably because it's after hours if there's some goofy stuff going on. I don't know why you'd use this. Might be worth looking at. Now the next cool thing. Here's the cool thing. This is ThinkBack. Now this is backtesting, folks. And so what can you do with backtesting? Let's say that I want to enter a trade. Now somebody asked me, to go back and do my October or my December 2007 trade or something like that I did on Iron Condor. This thing only goes back, I think, 3 months. So you can't go back and do years. I'm not sure. Maybe, I know Chicken's in here. Big Chicken. Ken, how far back does it go? Do you know? I think it's only 3 months. I'm not, I guess I could check. Anyways, let's say that I wanted to take a look at a particular trade. Let's say that I wanted to look at 5 years of option data? Really? Wow. That's amazing. I think that they don't. I don't know. I don't know what they have. I thought that they were keeping. Maybe I didn't know it went back 5 years. That's awesome. That's amazing. Well, I can check. Let's go back to. Let's see. I guess they do have data back that far. Holy crap. Wow. Amazing. Who wants to buy a Google call for a 180 Google call for 540, 590? I'll buy that. Wow. I didn't realize they went back that far. Wow. Amazing. Okay, so what did I just do? Enter a symbol, enter a date, and you're going to get an option for that trade. So you go back to a date that you want to enter into a trade. Let's say that October, December 22nd, 2008. And I want to get a SPY and look at the Novembers and open that up. And let's say that I wanted to do an iron condor. Now, again, just like before, you can go to your Greeks. You can open this up to all. And if I were to look at doing a iron condor, I might look at doing something like this. So $1 wide iron condor. I'm going to delete that SPY. So there's an iron condor. And so that's going to bring in a 44.5-cent credit if I did it on that date, which I did. And then as time goes forward, you can see how the options move. Now my trade, one of the things you'll see down here is this yellow line. So the yellow line is my profitability. And you should be able to see, let's see, hold on. I'm going to get rid of some of my studies because it takes my default studies. And I'll show you how to do this later. But let's delete. Okay. So the yellow line, which you'll see right here, is my ThinkBack P&L. So showing what happened here. Obviously, we all know what happened. The thing started moving down. So this is where I did my mountains and butterflies adjustments. And so you can step through and determine. I'm not going to take the time to go through all these, but let's say that if I wanted to add another iron condor on a certain date, let's say that we move to the 29th, and I don't remember exactly which trades I did, but it could have been something like this. So add on another iron condor. Maybe I put on 2. And so where's my P&L? Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. So I'm showing me losing money here, which is not a good thing. But because I don't have the exact trades, but you can go back and back trade a system. And the way that I like to, when I do I'm going to go back over here to the risk profile. And when I do an iron condor, what I like to do, and I'll show you the Analyze tab, how I like to trade iron condors. We're going back to the Analyze tab. And I like to go to the Greeks. So I generally start somewhere I look for a delta around the 25, 20 range, somewhere in there. So, and that's going to hopefully end up giving you a probability somewhere in the 40%, 45% success range. Or 50, maybe I'd go a little bit more. So a little bit wider. 50 is a little low, kind of high risk. But let's say that something were to happen and this thing were to move the stock were to move on me. Now, I told you there's different conventions for adjustments. I told you there's the cog, there's the dots, and then there's also the wrenches. So if I click on the wrench, which is, where's the wrench? Oh, there it is. This will, let's say if I wanted to look at my Analyze tab and I wanted to adjust, this is another way to adjust the, look at some of the sensitivity. So if I, let's say that this thing were to drop down to 89, I can go ahead and plug in 89 right there. And it's showing me that the stock has dropped down to 89, and you see the standard deviation ranges have moved. Now, that's too close for my liking to be at one of my breaks. So what I'll do is add on another iron condor that's centered around 89. Now, let's see, it's going to 1, 2, 3, probably be something like this. And, maybe I do 2 of them. So that gives me a wider break even. Now, depending on if I'm still bullishly biased, I might leave something like this in. So I'm covered all the way down to 84 here, but I'm hoping that it really expires in this range. So if it covers at 84, I make $19, which is better than losing money. But if it goes up here, I'm $119. So I might do something like that, unless, of course, I can play with the Analyze tab to get the profile that I want. So if I'm more bearishly biased, I might end up moving my call side down a little bit lower so that I have a different sort of profile than what I'm showing here. Let's say like that. So if I'm sure, more bearishly biased, I might do something like that. And so you can use this to sort of figure out what target range you want to get into. Set slices, break even. So I use this Analyze tab to really help me, especially with the iron condors, to figure out my range. So you don't need to, this little iron thing, this little cog thing here, you don't really need to do that too often, but I'm just doing it for demonstration purposes. Yeah, so I create, instead of iron condors, I make pterodactyls or mountains or butterflies. Or you can actually use butterflies or condors to adjust one side if you need to move it. Yeah, there you go. Now, this trading, I asked Tom Sosna, I said, hey, so what trade do you use most? He goes, iron condors, do them all day long. I said, well, how do you adjust them? He goes, I don't. I said, what do you mean? What happens when it goes to break through? I just add more. Add more what? Add more iron condors. I said, I beg your pardon? He says, I just keep adding more iron condors. Oh, I see. Now, it takes up a lot more capital, and you have to plan for it, but that's his approach. And I've done some things that have been pretty wild, but as long as you got enough capital, you can keep piling these things on, keep it in your range. Now, try it out, check it out. Now, the thing about the ThinkBack, it is the Analyze tab is not really well integrated into it from that perspective. So you kind of, I don't use the back test feature all that much, but it's here for you to play with and figure out how to use it. So the way you do it is you just come back up to this date and you either click there or enter in the date that you want, and it'll give you the option change that apply for that date and time. Now, what's also interesting is that you see the trade date. So here's the dates on these 2 trades that I did in here. You can actually come in and change those dates and enter in whatever you want, and it'll give you what the price was on that date. So very cool feature. Oh, Bob Trader should definitely be a chicken if he's going to make comments like that. All right, so there's ThinkBack, there's the Analyze tab. getting in the home stretch here pretty much. Oh, I got to get the charts. But one of the things I did want to show on the scan feature, I don't, occasionally this is interesting to look at. I mean, I come in here sometimes. I like to do the sizzle scan. Sizzle. I usually change that to 20, hit search. And remember, I talked about the sizzle early on. And this is the sizzle index, so you can look and see who's got high sizzle. Usually because there's stocks I don't understand, I customize, I add in description, add item, move up. Description, move up. Symbol. So I don't know. Sometimes you see some weird ones in here. See some strange volume and strange sizzle in ETFs. This is all after hour stuff, so. But I have used this to find some interesting trades, or at least some things to go on my watch list. I do recommend keeping the sizzle on your watch list, because like Jeff and I don't know if Jeff added it on, but I was. Oh, see you later, Dugan. Catch ya. I do keep this on my watch list because, heck, if you're trading something and the sizzle goes high on you, you need to know about that. I mean, you want to know about that. If you're trading Garmin and all of a sudden there's like some strange volume going on in Garmin, you need to be doing your due diligence to figure out what the heck's going on there. Now, yeah, sometimes it may be nothing. Sometimes it may be somebody just closing out a big position, but at least put it on your radar. And I've found some trades that way. So there are some other things you can do in here. There's a spread hacker and a spread book, and you can go figure out how to get help on those. I don't use them all, but I guess if you wanted to do some screeners for stocks, you want to look at the price, the market cap, earnings per share. You can do that. You can actually just come in here and click and drag these down, and if you want to do a search, you want to look for one that has great earnings per share or whatever, and then hit search. So it's going to do that for you. Might be helpful. I don't know. I don't use it that much. The only thing I use here is the sizzle index. Market Watch, they'll let you set up alerts. I don't use these so much, but you can set up alerts on different things. So when certain things happen, you can have alerts set up. They have some interesting watch lists in here. I recommend you come take a look at them. They take a second to refresh. But if you want to look at certain dividend alerts, earning alerts, so explore this. This is pretty straightforward once you go through it and look at it. I have no idea what rollover rates are. Okay, charts. Now, one thing that's confusing is that there's two charting systems in Thinkorswim. There's profit and then there's charts. And the reason for that is Thinkorswim, when they first started, did not have their own charting package. They actually ended up buying profit. But because so many people, they had profit as their charting package to start with. Because they had so many people using profit, they cannot get people off it. There's still some people that this is all they use. And yeah, there's some goofy stuff on there. I don't use profit. I use the charts. I called Thinkorswim and said, which one should I use? And they said, well, all of our development work is going into charts. We're not doing anything but maintaining profit. So all the new features are going in the charts. So I recommend you. I don't know, Tom. You asked if you can relate an alert to a sizzle. I don't know if you can. Maybe go back and check. That actually popped into my head when I was saying it'd be a good thing to do. So here on the charts, you have a lot of different features that you can add in. One of the things that I love about them is that you can set up a layout if you want. So this particular layout, I have just some of the Bollinger Band, the volume, and then also the historical and implied volatility added on here. We could probably spend a whole class on this, but you basically have studies. So you want to add in a study. You click over here. There are over 200 different kinds of studies. Anything you can, almost anything you can imagine, because I know right now Sigler's going, wait, they don't have the Sigler, backwards forward deflator indicator. Fisher transform. Do they have Fisher transforms? Fisher transform, bada bing. Look at that. They do have the Fisher transform. So uh, now a word on this, folks. Analysis paralysis can set in here. Don't try to bite off too much. Some people can handle a lot of indicators, other people can't. So there's more in here than you can possibly eat. So don't stuff yourself at the buffet. Just pick the ones that work for you. And so there's some pretty cool ones in here. You can go through and take a look at them. The basics that I use the basic STS ones. I use the exponential moving averages, the Bollinger Bands, the MACD, the RSI. Occasionally I add in the stochastics. Sometimes I look at some other stuff too. The convention on this, you need to set your pointer. Sometimes it should start defaulted to a pointer. So you click on the pointer, and then you see these crossbars moving around, and you see all these numbers changing. So if you're trying to figure something out, real cool, if you want to zoom in on something, you click and drag, and it'll zoom in on that range. And then, so if you want to zoom in on a particular date or something like that, you can do that. You can also use the plus or minus buttons here to zoom in and zoom out. If you come to the style settings, style settings, there's a bunch of different features on here. One of the features that I use down here is the expansion up and expansion down. I add 10% up, 10% down, and 21 bars to the right. Let me show you what that does. If I change this to 60, now look over in this area over here, right? So what that does is if I want to, let's say that I wanted to, no, so there's drawings too. So come over to drawings, and I want to draw a trend line. I just click, and then I can draw my trend line. And the benefit to this, so I go back to the pointer, is that line stays forever until it's deleted. So all my different time series, if I want to look at a day, let's say I want to look at, you click on this little D here, the time frame. If I want to look at a weekly chart, so there's the same line on the weekly chart with the same number of expansions as before. I want to look at a monthly chart, there's the same line, showing that it's showing a nice level of support there. So maybe that was the bottom, huh? Looking at that monthly chart, that looks pretty real. So you can change the time frames real easy, clicking and zooming. You can also use this scale on the bottom here to add or remove. When you find a set that you really like, and I whipped through this, but I'm going to come back and show you. So you find a set you really like, you come over here and say save grid as. Save grid as. And right now I was calling that my STS short term. So if I go back and click on STS short term, it's going to go back and reset everything the way that I like it. So I have different setups for if I want to look at short term, long term, if I want to throw the volatility in here. So the volatility one gets rid of some of the moving averages and just has the Bollinger Bands, and then the historical and implied volatility. So I just have these set up the way that I like them. And so if I want something simple that's going to give me, I just want just simple, I just don't want anything else, I've got a simple setup. Or get something really complex. Here's one that, I'll talk about this in a second here. Shadow Trader. Those of you that don't know who Shadow Trader is, if you have a funded account, this is a guy who trades all day long and talks all day long as he's trading. This is what he uses to track his internals. And so he uses the advancing decliners for the NYSE and the NASDAQ, and then the up volume, down volume, and then also the trends. So he keeps this screen up. Now, one of the things that's really cool here, see this little window? See that little doohickey there? I click that, and I can spawn that. So if I have multiple monitors, I could take that, drag it over to my other monitor, and then I want to keep my short term here. I can click this, and I could drag that over to my other monitor, and then I could click this and drag this to my monitor that's down here. So you can keep multiple windows open if you've got a lot of multi monitors up. So you can keep you keep them all open all at one time, and you can see all this data at once. Pretty cool stuff. Now that little box there, you'll see that in a lot of different places. That any place you see that, you can click and detach. So if I want to detach an option grid, and so you can have multiples of these windows open. That's one of the other conventions. I guess while we're on it, one of the other things I want to point out is the print feature. It's a little printer. And so if you want to just print, you can print. You can also do some things like export to Excel. And this will actually export live data. If you have Excel or if you use OpenOffice Calc, you can export into that format. And you can build your own spreadsheets. And as long as Thinkorswim is open, it is actually pulling live data into your spreadsheet. So a little bit more advanced, but a neat feature nonetheless if you want to get into that. You can also do screenshots. Take a picture. Geez, why don't you take a picture? Copy. I'll show you what up. Microsoft Word here. So for those of you, I tell you, build your own trading journals, right? So I hit paste, and so there's my chain. So let's say that I was setting up some sort of a trade. Hit my risk profile. Take a picture here. Take a picture. Copy. Go back over to Word. And so this is the sort of stuff that I do for trades. Is I'll do these copy and paste and put these there we go. Okay, here. And you can, I'm not going to tell you how to use Word, but if you wanted to make these smaller, I can get them on the same page. There you go. So you can do your own write-ups and copy and paste. So it's a pretty handy feature to export that sort of stuff on there. Where were we? Charting tab. So there's some other neat studies that are in here. One of the ones I like to do is the regression channel. You just click a point and then add it. It automatically puts a regression channel in there. I think it's 1 standard deviation. And so you can get an idea where that channel is. Kind of cool. What are the drawing tools I like? They have Fibonacci's. You got Fibonacci spirals, which, I use those all the time. Just kidding. They look cool, though, don't they? Oh, you're getting dizzy. You're going to deposit all your money to me. Send all your money to me. Just kidding. Just kidding. No, I don't use the Fibonacci's at all. Sorry. Andrew Pitchfork, I use that one a lot. The cycles, I use that a lot, too. I don't know. Like I said, there's way more stuff on here than you ever want to use. If you ever get some stuff on here that you don't want, that's one of the reasons why I do these setups over here. So I just go back and it'll go back to my default. But you can also right click on these, right click and delete drawing, right click, delete drawing. Oh, another cool one is the price level. Where's price level? Price level. So you just click here and it's going to draw a vertical line. So there's a vertical line. If I right click it, I can edit that thing. Edit properties. And let's say that I want that to be at exactly 86 or exactly 96. 96. I hit 96, enter. Okay, and it moves that line to exactly 96. So if you want to do some funky technical analysis, you can do some pretty cool stuff in here. So the ones that I use the most are the trend line, the price level, I use the regression channel now. I used to use the channel. I guess you can use the channel. What you do is draw 2 lines. If you want to do the thing about the regular channel is it allows you to extend where the regression channel won't extend. Text notes, I've never done that, but you can enter You can add text notes in. If you wanted to. I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about McAllister. Oh, like I was saying, so here you go over to your saved, and boom, and it just resets it all. So what else is it going to show? Tools. You can get CNBC live streaming on here. I'm not going to do that now. My Trade is some, I don't know, some the social networking thing. I don't think it's that cool. If you want to do social networking, do Twitter. Oh, Tom Sosnoff. You can see what Tom's trading. That was an old trade. That was from May, though. Yeah, there's the Saws. I haven't seen anything. Yeah, look, he was commenting in 888, and then he did October 8, and then he did one in May. He hasn't put anything on here, so ignore it. Oh, ThinkLog. So you can enter your own trades. I don't know how that works. Help. Now, if you need help, click on the biggest thing that's on this page. I was like, those guys. I called up Thinkorswim. I'm like, how do I get help? They're like, click the picture on the help tab. I'm like, what picture? The big picture. I'm like, what big picture? That one right there. So, skip. So what that's going to do is open up and take you to their website, which is going to give you. See over here, you've got these drop downs, and so that's going to take you through actually short tutorials on each one of those features. So it's a handy thing to know. They do update them. They do change them. Some other things down here, they have some. That's one place to get help. Then down here, you can also get help. You want help on the monitoring tabs, beta waiting, what's spread book? I don't know. So, anyways, the other neat place on here, oh yeah, okay. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this. Okay. Support and chat. Click the support and chat, so you can get live support. Say, hey, anyone working on Sunday? Let's see if anybody answers. Sunday night? Ching. $5 says somebody answers. So we have different chat rooms. They have a thing called the Trader Lounge, Swimmer, and then Shadow Trader. I mentioned Shadow Trader. So if you come over here and you click listen, you can listen to him talk if you want to do that. Shadow Trader. Yeah, that's Shadow Trader. Shadow Trader. So you go to chat room, Shadow Trader. Then they have this thing, the swimming pool, and then the Trader's Lounge. Sometimes people are in there chatting. Oh yeah, when they do a webcast on Wednesdays, that's what I was going to show you. On Wednesdays, do this webcast. So you come over here and click this watch. And so Wednesday at 3:15 Central Time, after the market closes, they do a some sort of a technical update. So you can come over here and you can click on watch and actually watch and listen to the webcast. I guess not. Nobody's working. Cancel request. Back to the help tab. So if you go to Trader Lounge Seminar Transcripts, which is what I was just talking about, you click there. It's going to take you to a web page. And what? Every Wednesday. Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah, you can. These are actually podcasts now. You can subscribe to them through iTunes. But you can come over here and you can watch the recorded one. So here's the one from last week when Tom was talking about all the news features from this week. So you can come over here, and I'm not going to do that because it's going to kill my bandwidth because I'm in a hi-fi in a hotel using the Wi-Fi. So you can go back and look at some of these. There's some pretty cool ones in here. Let's see, what's his name? Price Headley does some pretty cool ones. He's got a couple of them that are in here. 90-minute technical analysis with Jeff Bierman and Price Headley. So you got some time to kill. Go ahead and go through some of these. There are some really good ones in here. They do a Wall Street wrap up too in the end of the market, after market close on Friday. So it's a resource for you to get more help. You'll learn some of the features through there. That's how I learned most of the stuff, by watching those and going through the help. Let's see. And I think that's 2-hour demo there. At least an hour and 45 minutes. So I mean, I know I went over a lot of things really quick, but hopefully you guys, feel a little more comfortable. Are there any? My pleasure. Thank you. Any? Elma, how you doing? How's New York? Anybody have any comments or questions or that I can show real quick? My pleasure. I'm happy to help. I am recording it, and I plan to upload it. And I'll do it when I get back. I'm out of town now, but later on this week when I get back. I got to be honest with you that I know people, and there might even be people in this room who still use Option Express and will never change, and they're happy. And there's people who are using Trade Monster, and they love it. I'm a very technical person. I'm a visual person. I love the Analyze tab, and this kind of stuff has really helped me become a better trader. But I know people who use Thinkorswim and don't use this feature, and they don't. They're not comfortable with it. And maybe for me, I'm a visual person, and I know Dugan, he just left. I mean, he really, he really loves, this sort of feature. He loves the Greeks that they have. So, other people I know are using Option Monster, and they're very happy with it. Trade Monster, and they're loving it too. So, I mean, I have multiple accounts at multiple places, and I use what works at the time. So don't feel locked into a particular broker. I tell everybody, kick the tires on all the different brokers. If you do want to fund this account, there is a link on the to get a better commission rate on the website, on the Thinkorswim, or on the STS SIG website. There's if you search somewhere in the links or the files, there's a file to tell you how to get a better commission rate. Oh, thanks, Paulette. Show again how to get into archives. Okay, Paulette. Help, and it's not. This is why I pointed it out, because it's not straightforward, and you got to go down to the Trader Lounge seminar transcripts, and that's the ones that they do on Wednesday. They're archived, and you can get them there. Another interesting one I just noticed here is the rates and commissions and the margin rate. Is the margin rate on there? Yeah, I have a bookmark for it. Margin schedule. Oops. Margin schedule. Here's a margin schedule, which is these are one of the things you need to look at. These are one of the things you need to look at to compare different brokers and look at what their different margins are. I think it's FINRA sets the minimums for the amount of margin that's required, but brokers can decide to charge more or require more. And so I know for I do naked puts occasionally, and Thinkorswim is pretty generous on what they require for margin. Now, you need to be aware of the potential risk, and I make sure that I have that covered. But I don't like the fact that people decide that I have to set aside more money. I'd rather put that diligence on myself, but I'm comfortable doing that. So it gives me more capital available for me. I think it's at referrals@thinkorswim.com. But it's on that email. Let me see if I can find that real quick. So files. Geez, now I don't remember where I put it. Internal information. Toss deal. Yeah, there you go. General information. Toss deal for STS SIG PDF. So there's the details right in there. Yeah, referrals at Thinkorswim. Yeah, if you're gonna do it, give it to somebody. If you fund an account, you send a message to referrals. I would love it if you did it for me. I'm happy getting the money. But if somebody else like showed it to you, make sure they get the money. They get $50. It's worth it. It doesn't cost you anything. I'll be honest with you. I'm telling you what, people love Trade Monster. I know there's people out there who've kicked the tires on Thinkorswim, and they love Trade Monster. So I mean that's fine. And if that's what they like, Sales Monster. Yeah, there you go. I mean if they like, some people still like. There's people. I think she doesn't use that account anymore. She finally opened up. Where's Tony? Tony was using, I think, TD Ameritrade or somebody for a while. She's gone. Um, a lot of the past to BPC. No, I know somebody that was trading on TD Ameritrade and moved over, but I'm not going to fault anybody from using a different broker. If they're a good trader and they're using a broker that works for them, great. So I like this one a lot. It works well for me. Did we lose Jeff? Yeah, looks like Jeff went to bed. He gets up at like 5 in the morning. All right. Any other questions before I wrap things up here? Karen, I am going to archive it on the SIG site, the Sigler site. Oh, wait, stop. Where's my bookmark? There it is. Okay. Links. Okay, right now there's a thing, STS SIG TV. So it's sts.-sig.blip.tv. And if you haven't seen this presentation, there's 3 separate presentations, 3 separate files from one presentation that are for Elliott waves that Ryan Sandin did, which are outstanding. So there's 3 different ones here, so you can come and watch these if you want. So I think I'm going to upload it here unless there's some technical problem why I can't. So I recommend that you, if you haven't looked at these Elliott wave presentations, they're well worth taking the time to go through those. And they're broken up into small sections that you can hopefully handle. So I plan to put them on here. So down here you should see the Thinkorswim demo. And for people who weren't able to make it. Alrighty. I'm going to wrap things up here and have a glass of wine, go to bed. Any other questions? Feel free. I don't mind answering. No? Nothing? Elma, it's not that late. It's only... Oh, it is 10:30. Crap. All right. I guess I do need to go to bed. I was looking at the Central Time over here. All right. I'm going to go to bed on that note. We'll see you guys later. Take care.